The Enforcement Directorate has attached assets worth rupees 7.12 crores of actor Jacqueline Fernandez in connection to Conman Sukesh Chandrasekhar. That's the update that we're getting in, that the Enforcement Directorate had attached assets worth rupees 7.12 crores of actor Jacqueline Fernandez. My colleague Ashish Merishi now joining us on the broadcast. Ashish, give us the details.
Well, Ridhima, if you remember, everybody, we have been always saying that she has been beneficiary of proceeds of crime. Now, whether the Enforcement Directorate decides whether she is basically going to be an accused or only limited to beneficiary of proceeds of crime, that is something which is debatable. But as of now, one thing we can confirm is that she has been beneficiary of proceeds of crime, where the money was basically taken from the wife of the former owners of Fortis Group. And the kind of money that Sukesh Chandrasekhar was able to take out, by using spoofing technology, and we all know that he's a conman, it was around 200 crore rupees. But ultimately, the Enforcement Directorate during their investigation found that Jacqueline Fernandez has been the beneficiary of proceeds of crime to the tune of around 7.12 crore rupees. And that is why assets belonging to Jacqueline Fernandez have been attached. This is a provisional order of attachment, and obviously it goes to the adjudicating authority. And once the adjudicating authority confirms, it can be challenged in the court of law by Jacqueline Fernandez. But ultimately, the Enforcement Directorate has alleged that she has been beneficiary of 7.12 crore rupees, and that is why these assets have been attached. Interestingly, as of now, if you remember, a horse was also gifted of around 55 lakh rupees. Cats worth around 9 lakh rupees each. 3 cats were gifted. These cats and horses have not been attached. So, what happens to those assets, we don't know. I was just chatting with a source source who's basically busy as of now, but the source confirmed to me that the horse and cats have not been attached, but other assets, so the Enforcement Directorate has the right basically to attach assets which is equivalent to the value of proceeds of crime. So those assets have been attached, but later in the evening we'll have all details on what all assets have been attached of Jacqueline Fernandez.
Ashish, I want to understand the other aspect because we've been tracking this case for a long time. What we had heard so far as murmurs from the legal team or people close to Jacqueline, that these were just given as gifts because they were apparently in a relationship. So then what are the options left as far as Jacqueline Fernandez is concerned?
Well, Jacqueline Fernandez is basically, she can say that, it was only gifts, but she was very much in the know that he was in jail. So she should have inquired about, from where a person who's been lodged in jail, from where was he getting that kind of money? So that, actually the liability lies on her as well, because a man who has been lodged in jail for a number of years, he's gifting crores and crores of worth of Hermes bags, sponsoring air travel,
Correct.
sandals, and what all this man was giving to Jacqueline Fernandez. So she was accepting those gifts despite knowing the fact that this man was in jail. And that is why her assets have been attached. Now, this is something very serious. If your assets have been attached, the Enforcement Directorate can actually make you an accused in the case. If this happens, if she is made accused in the case, then obviously it's going to be trouble time for Jacqueline Fernandez.
So Ashish, what are your sources within the ED now telling you? What are we going to see in the coming few days? One, you're saying one of the options is because the properties have been attached, you could see Jacqueline Fernandez becoming an accused. Any word that's coming in from the legal team of Jacqueline Fernandez so far?
No, I have not been in touch with the legal team of Jacqueline Fernandez. That maybe, from our reporters from Mumbai can get in touch with them and give you the details. But sources in the Enforcement Directorate believe that they have taken these gifts and these, the details that they have found very seriously, and they found it to be basically proceeds of crime. So certainly it is trouble time for Jacqueline Fernandez. And one thing which we have to keep an eye is whether she becomes an accused in the case or not.
Okay, Ashish, just for the benefit of our viewers, give us a recap of where all this actually began, because we've seen multiple other names from the Bollywood fraternity also come up as far as links with Sukesh Chandrasekhar are concerned.
No, Sukesh Chandrasekhar, if you remember, he's a con man. He's around 32 years old, and in that at that age, he has been for 15 years. Last 15 years, he has been in and out of jail, and he's cheated a number of people. But what leaves everybody perplexed and flabbergasted is the fact that this man was inside Tihar jail, inside Rohini jail. He corrupted the entire system in jail. If you remember, more than 80 people have been named from the jail department in Delhi who are under investigation of the Economic Offences Wing of Delhi Police. Huge amount of money was being given to jail officials as well. He was generating this money, more than 200 crore rupees was generated from one person, that was Aditi Singh, wife of Shivendra Mohan Singh, who are the former owners of Fortis, and they are lodged in Tihar jail for various purposes. In fact, for on the charges of money laundering. And ultimately, they found, that Shivendra Mohan, in fact, he was able to gauge the fact that Shivendra Mohan Singh was willing to come out. He showed to the world, in fact, to the family members of Shivendra Mohan Singh, used spoofing technology and said that, if you are not aligned with a particular political party which is in power as of now, they can't come out of the jail.
Correct.
And that is why this woman, Aditi Singh, she took loan from one of her uncles for over 100 crore rupees. She sold off all her jewelry to generate that kind of money. And ultimately, this money was coming into the hands of Sukesh Chandrasekhar. And this man was buying cars. In fact, 26 luxurious cars have been attached to him now. A huge bungalow, which is a sea-facing bungalow on East Coast Road in Chennai. It's supposed to be for a few crore rupees. His wife, Lina Maria Paul, she had opened a huge showroom, in fact, a huge chain of showrooms of nail artistry. Money was flowing to various Bollywood stars. In fact, this is what we broke also. There were certain women from the Bollywood who were traveling to Tihar jail to meet Sukesh Chandrasekhar for a prize. So, there were so many things happening with that money, but ultimately the Enforcement Directorate took the entire thing, they investigated the matter, and ultimately now you are seeing that this man is behind the bars. There are so many people who are behind the bars as of now in this case, and even the assets of Jacqueline Fernandez have been attached.
Okay, Ashish, I'll just request you to stay on with us. Senior advocate Swapnil Kothari also now joining us on the broadcast. Sir, good to have you on the broadcast with us. Now, there has been so much back and forth in terms of what Jacqueline has claimed vis-a-vis what Sukesh Chandrasekhar has claimed. One of the initial claims of Jacqueline Fernandez was that I didn't even know his real identity. I thought he was the owner of Sun TV. In a case like this, how much leeway does Jacqueline Fernandez have, or with the attachment of the properties by ED, is it game over for Jacqueline Fernandez?
Very little, because, to say that I knew him only at a professional level or even at a personal level, but I thought that he was the owner of only this, sounds a little bit too far-fetched for any investigating agency to believe that, especially when you have assets in your name which are disproportionate to your income, because you're not somewhere, making 150 to 200 crores a year that you can justify this kind of a property, like other very senior actresses and very successful ones who have that kind of an income. So, obviously this is going to open up a huge can of worms, and it's not something which is, very, very palatable situation for Jacqueline at all. I do not foreclose, or I do not, foreclose an arrest, in the sense that is quite possible if the investigating agency feels that the person in question is not cooperating. And then, the next thing for them to do is to have a custodial interrogation, where the person then tends to be, a little bit forthcoming, given the fact that you are within the four walls of the Enforcement Directorate, and, that your freedom has been hampered, and, your custody will be there, and
Correct.
it could be extended further. So this is a very, very dire situation, and I think, they not only need to interrogate her, but I think interrogate even Sukesh, and then get both of them together in front of them, and then see, what each of them has to say in front of each other. So that will reveal quite a bit much more.
Okay, we'll leave the conversation there. We'll, of course, keep tracking all these developments. I'd like to thank my colleague Ashish Mehrishi also for getting us all those details. We're slipping into a very short